but then there may be some shakeups this week as the Israelis and the Iranians decide how they want to conduct this war and how the U.S. decides it wants to participate. Now, in terms of different investments that you could look at, if you have a certain thesis on this war, meaning that you expect it to escalate. Well, if you expect it to escalate, then there could be an impact on the price of oil. And so for those of you that think that there could be some action there and you want to jump in, then there are companies like Chevron, Exxon, et cetera, that would probably skyrocket. Defense contractors, Lockheed Martin would skyrocket, things like that. Even old raggedy Boeing, where they keep crashing all these airplanes. They're kind of becoming the white version of Soul Plane. I kid you not, they're just terrible. But that could lead that those could be catalysts for increases in those prices. Also, if you're an investor in gold, I sent you all that list of different ways to invest in gold. If you don't have it, Chanel's right there in the chat. I think Chanel can grab it. If you can't find it, Chanel, just let me know. I think I got the link around here. So gold is something that maybe you want to look into. It's hard to sell options on gold. In fact, I'll do a little exercise to show you what kind of income you could get if you were selling calls on gold. But generally speaking, I just want to own gold just because the world just seems a little weird and unstable sometimes, and I just kind of want to just sort of have an asset that's going to respond favorably to those chaotic conditions. The other thing too is the long-term effect. Um, the long-term effect of fiscal irresponsibility by your politicians is going to have a huge impact on the price of gold as well, because people are just kind of getting away from the U.S. dollar to some extent. It's not at a crisis level yet, but it'll probably have to get to a crisis level before the politicians pay attention and before the American people just force them to change and before the bond market starts to increase the bond yield so high that the interest just becomes unpayable. In fact, there are some experts who predict that the U.S. government could actually go bankrupt at some point, which is not out of the question. The We have lots of major cities in America that are already going bankrupt. Some of you live in those cities. My city is Chicago. Their spending is ridiculous. It makes absolutely no sense what how they're just spending money. It's almost like the politicians don't care because their terms are short and they're going to move on with their lives. But it's crisis level. Houston, crisis level. So many cities, just crisis level. So that's a factor to consider. Now, in fact, let me go ahead and do this. Put your question. If you have a question, you can put it in the Q&A section. If you can make it short, that way I can get to everybody's question. I'd appreciate that. But let's look at gold. Let's just start there. Okay. I do have the latest moneymaker grid that's almost done. I'm putting that together, and I'm gonna give you some sort of sneak previews of the moneymaker grid. Um, as well, and also I'm going to talk to you about a strategy you can look at that can actually generate extra income called a Condor, and it's something that basically involves selling an out of the money call and selling an out of the money put, and it kind of looks like this. Like broad wings, I guess, like a condor. I don't know how stupid I look doing this, but that's kind of what it looks like on a chart. And so you end up making money, in a certain range, right? And if it leaves your range, then your losses can be limited because you've got these little wings on the condor. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that as well.